Welcome to the Morning Edition Extra. I'm Adelmi Ruiz coming to you from the digital desk. Happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm going to hand it over to Aaron Morrison, meteorologist, who's going to give us a rundown of our weather for the rest of this week. Aaron?
Thanks, Adelmi. We continue to hold on to some of that heavy rain that has been building in across the Gulf Coast region, where we are expected to see several more inches of rainfall through week's end. This is for South Central as well as Southeast. And we've still got some ongoing winter weather that's impacting areas of the eastern Alaska range, with locations through the interior likely seeing the first freeze, which will occur sometime this week. We are waking up to those temperatures in the upper 20s and the lower 30s as you head out west for areas along the slope. As you head into the interior, Fairbanks at 34 degrees this morning. Meanwhile, the southern coastline waking up to those temperatures in the 40s, while we do have a few isolated 50s that are scattered across portions of the Aleutians and through southeast Alaska. We've continued to see ongoing rain for the Gulf Coast region. Inland areas of South Central, we'll see a passing shower or two throughout the day. Most of that rain will stay out towards western parts of Prince William Sound and southern parts of the Kenai, and we'll also see additional heavy rain that's going to build in across southeast. That jet stream remains to our south, so that storm systems that have been forming in the Bering and as well as out towards the Aleutians, that rides right along that jet stream boundary, and that's why we continue to see these storms building in across the Gulf Coast region with that atmospheric river still taking aim on southeast, with little change in the forecast expected for the Panhandle here over the next couple of days. So troughing remains with us across the state. We've got that persistent southwesterly flow impacting the southeast. That's going to continue to pull in ample moisture, where we're going to see several more inches of rainfall here over the next couple of days. In addition to the troughing that we do have across the state that is keeping some unsettled weather with us, we've also got some cooler conditions that will build back in across the state as we close out this week and welcome in the weekend. So rain stays with us across the Gulf Coast region. We could see some lingering areas of some light wintry precip across eastern parts of the Alaska range. This will stay with us through the tail end of this week, and we're also going to be watching a low dropping out of Russia that will lead to some localized areas of some wintry mix, if not some light snow in some of those higher elevations as you head through western and southwest Alaska as we welcome in our Thursday evening on into Friday. And speaking of Friday, we are going to be watching an area of low pressure that's building out of the northern Pacific Ocean and taking an approach towards southeast. This will bring the potential that we could see some high wind concerns as well as even heavier rainfall that's going to arrive in southeast. So that's what we've got ongoing across the state. In addition to the rain that we continue to see across Alaska, cooler weather will continue to build back in across the state. This will lead to the likelihood that we're going to see the first freeze of the season for Fairbanks sometime this week. Now, the latest first freeze on record is September 28th. So we will be on the run for one of the latest ever recorded, but it will occur sometime later this week. So as far as what we're going to be dealing with when it comes to that 7-day forecast, not sure why we have an additional graphic there, but we are expected to see those temperatures steadily warming, or steadily cooling, I should say, upper 40s, lower 50s by week's end. Even though we may not hit freezing here across Anchorage and parts of South Central, we will see some frost in the forecast by week's end. Adelmi?
Thank you so much, Aaron. And gunfire erupted at an ICE facility in Dallas Wednesday morning. Police say one victim is dead and 2 others are hospitalized with gunshot wounds. The accused shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She said there were multiple injuries and fatalities. So far, there's no word about a possible motive or the identity of the suspect. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons said it wasn't immediately known whether employees, civilians, or detainees were shot. Dozens of emergency vehicles were seen along a highway near the facility. And President Trump addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York on Tuesday and used the opportunity to criticize Europe for its migration and green energy policies. After meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky later in the day, the president changed his stance on the Russia-Ukraine war. In a social media post, he said he now believes Ukraine can win the war against Russia with European Union support and can win back all of the land lost in the war. A verdict was handed down Tuesday for Ryan Ruiz, the man accused of attempting to assassinate then presidential candidate Trump as he played a round of golf in Florida last year. Ruiz was found guilty of all 5 charges against him, including attempted assassination of a major presidential candidate and possessing a firearm and ammunition as a felon. After the verdict, Ruiz tried to stab himself in the neck with a pen before authorities intervened. And in China, strong winds and heavy rainfall battered the coastal city of Shenzhen as a powerful typhoon bore down on southern China. Over 1 million people were relocated to the Guangdong province in preparation for the storm, and public transportation was suspended. Meteorologists say the storm is one of the most powerful typhoons in years to strike the region. And thieves are targeting trains and trucks across the country, sometimes with violent showdowns with drivers and conductors. 46 states have reported cargo thefts to the FBI last year. Now consider that everything from the latest sneakers to medicine are transported by highways and railways, and the cost isn't only safety but your total at the store. And senior national investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovered there's little being done federally to piece together the crimes.
Setting off sparks, grinding locks to gain access to trains, and slashing brakes, risking derailments.
It's organized crime at the highest.
Rail bandits ready for battle, armed with assault weapons.
When you see something that brazen, how do you react to it?
Well, I think it's terrifying, and it's greatly concerning.
These are not the train robbers you remember from old-timey westerns. These are sophisticated, high-stakes cargo thefts, disrupting rail and putting lives at risk.
This is a dangerous business.
An illegal enterprise that experts say is accelerating, with a 40% jump in cargo theft in 2024 alone.
It is an economic issue. It is a supply chain issue, but this is a human issue too.
And it's not just a problem for rail. Organized multinational crime rings are also targeting commercial trucking.
Police department, if anybody's inside, let us know.
Our national investigative team filed records requests across the country, obtaining police body camera footage, photographs, incident reports, and court files from cargo thefts involving trucks and trains.
Well, they took almost everything. Yeah.
We discovered police footage that shows thieves snagged thousands of dollars in Beats earbuds from this truck hijack from an Arizona truck stop. Pictures that detail a ransacked tractor trailer in Colorado, picked clean of more than $1 million worth of Nintendo gaming consoles. Court records that outline a cargo theft spree across Georgia and Virginia, netting robbers nearly $2 million in copper and electronics. Evidence videos from a case outside Phoenix that capture brazen thieves taking selfies, dressed in tactical gear and carrying what looks like a grenade launcher. And one incident report that details shots fired near a conductor in a Memphis rail yard as boxcars full of Nikes were broken into. Another burglary in that city captured on surveillance cameras. Thieves stopping their efforts just long enough to punch a defending truck driver right in the face.
I think that our industry has been shy about talking about cargo theft because nobody wants to know that their cargo, their freight, their truck got hit.
Chris Spear, president and CEO of the American Trucking Associations, says he can't afford to be silent anymore. Neither can his main competition in transportation, Ian Jeffries, who leads the Association of American Railroads.
Historically, we may have worked, in parallel, but not necessarily arm in arm, and we've taken a new tack this time around.
Moving together to try to crack down on a crime that experts tell us is often handled as either an insurance claim or a one-off criminal case at the local or state level. Our team did find dozens of cargo theft cases prosecuted by the feds, though. But we discovered there's a massive hole in the net for catching cargo thieves. Because while the FBI does lead some regional task forces and tracks voluntarily submitted data, there's no specific nationwide coordination on cases at the federal level.
It's something that goes well beyond most companies' ability to combat, which is really why we need stronger leadership by the federal government in coordination with the state and local governments.
I think a lack of coordinated, consistent, and centralized data is absolutely contributing to identifying what is a much larger issue across the entire supply chain.
Both the rail and trucking industries believe a piece of legislation in Congress can help, the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act, or CORCA. It would create a national coordination center within Homeland Security to deal with cargo theft.
It has to be one of those things where you attack it as a whole versus going at it in a piecemeal fashion.
Representative Dave Joyce, a former prosecutor, sponsors the House bill. He says that proposed coordination center would share information between industry and law enforcement at every level, track trends, and provide new tools to investigate and prosecute cargo theft cases.
When you see it in community by community, you realize that this is a tidal wave that's going to hit the country because we're not looking at all the things that are bubbling up to create the wave.
A wave that could potentially leave trucks and trains vulnerable to cargo thieves who see a clear path straight to the bank.
According to the FBI's data, there were nearly 6,000 commercial cargo thefts last year alone, with merchandise totaling about $150 million. But we know that is voluntarily reported data, so experts tell us the totals are likely much higher. Adelmi?
Thank you so much. Josie, your story talks about cargo theft reports happening across the country. What can you tell us about Alaska?
Well, when it comes to Alaska, this, again, voluntarily reported data tells us that it's not that big of a problem there. Only about a dozen incidents reported in the last 4 years. But we can tell you specifically the biggest items, the biggest targets for cargo thieves in the state of Alaska: automobiles, household goods, and jewelry. In fact, there was a heist in 2024 where there was $13,000 in jewelry just stolen in that one incident.
Your investigation found a lack of coordination on cases at the federal level, but there have been some prosecutions. What did you dig up about those situations?
So what we know right now is that the FBI does operate some regional task forces across the country where they do coordinate some information, and likely that's what results in some of these prosecutions that we've seen. We've seen the thieves going after things including imported beer. We've seen them go after perfume. Sneakers are a big hot button target item in there. And often what happens is these task forces work with the local and the state officials. They all coordinate the information, and they realize that these things are happening in more than one location. That's why they're able to group them together and prosecute them at the federal level.
Okay, a lot of people are pinning their hopes on this congressional bill to help crack down on cargo theft. What do you know about its chances?
Things are tough in D.C. right now, very divisive, but what we know about this bill that would create this National Coordination Center is that it has bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate, and it's bringing together some very powerful stakeholders. Usually rail and trucking may work in competition, but in this situation, they're actually working together, trying to push forward on this legislation, which is a pretty rare thing, and that tells us it has better chances than in the past where this sort of legislation hasn't really gone anywhere, Adelmi.
And crews are still working to restore power in Akiak. Residents say the outage began around 2:30 Sunday morning. The community issued a disaster declaration yesterday to seek state assistance. Officials believe a mechanical failure at the power plant may be to blame. We spoke with the lead teacher at the Akiak school. She says people still have water thanks to a generator, but homes and other places without generators are in the dark.
Touch, and they are aware of our situation and the severity of it. However, one technician, mechanic, is at another village doing the same type of work, and it's not certain when he'll be able to, if he can come to Akiak. And at this time, they're looking for another mechanic to come out this way.
During the outage, the Akiak school has been serving breakfast and lunch for people 60 and older. In Alaska, as Alaskans wait for their PFD checks to arrive, you may be planning to book a trip. Alaska Airlines just launched its annual permanent fund dividend sale with tons of deals on some flights from now to October 6th. Those travel dates will be between October 14th and May 12th of next year for flights to and from or within Alaska. Many favorite destinations like Hawaii, Mexico, and Belize will return, along with new additions like Australia and Japan. The airline urges customers to join or use their Club 49 membership for even more discounts. Halloween can't come soon enough for some people. Switching to some lighter news now. That includes one teenager from eastern Pennsylvania who is taking his love for the holiday to the next level. The 16-year-old turned his family's basement into a haunted hotel. It's a labor of love. 6 months in the making. From checking in to old Hollywood-style details, Joe imagined every corner. He scouts props year-round with his dad. Joe even built a luggage room to sell the illusion. Last year's scare included a crazy clown tent in the backyard, and this year Joe is adding a ballroom attraction complete with custom moving mannequins designed by him. But his biggest challenge is back inside a speakeasy-style cocktail lounge, all built with help from family, his mom and grandparents on sets and costumes, his friends cast as 17 actors. And whether you check in for just a few minutes or survive a full tour, this is one experience you won't forget. And for the first time, the Venzial Manor is open to the public. The dates are October 24th and 25th. Tickets are $5 and all proceeds go to the Spirit of Children, which collects money for a local children's hospital. And that wraps up the Morning Edition Extra for this Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me for the Morning Edition Extra, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.